All right, you ready to go?
I guess so.
You sure?
I don't know. There's some new stuff to juggle today.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff happening. We're trying some new things. Maybe we'll just say that off the top.
Yeah, I took the third channel down. We don't need that.
Okay.
All right.
Hey, let's start the show.
For Thursday, February 6th, 2020, welcome to This Is Only a Test, the official podcast of Tested.com. Welcome in, everyone. I'm Kishore, your guest host this week, along with the one and the only Jeremy Williams.
Hi, Kishore, guest host. Good to see you.
Yes, good to see you too. Norm is in the happiest place on earth, partying with Patrick Mahomes, I believe.
Wow.
Do you know who Patrick Mahomes is?
No.
He was the quarterback for the Super Bowl winning Kansas City Chiefs.
Oh, good for them. Good for them.
Did you watch the Super Bowl?
Yes. Yes, I did. Yeah, me and my kids, we all watched the Super Bowl. My wife was on an adventure that day. She was doing training to not be afraid of flying.
How do you train to not be afraid of flying?
It's actually...
Do you just not fly and that's how you do it?
Well, that is abstinence. And that's always like the preferred choice. But if you must fly and you're afraid of flying, there's a course for you at SFO. And it's insanely awesome.
What is a course for being afraid for flying look like?
It's 2 full weekends. It's Saturday and Sunday, all weekend long for 2 weeks in a row. You go there, you meet in the group of like 10 people, and then for all day long, you meet with important people. You meet with pilots, you meet with maintenance workers, you meet with therapists, and once you're done with that, you then go into an airplane hangar. You get to touch an airplane underneath. You walk around, the maintenance worker opens all the hatches, explains how everything works. You see where the wheels go. You get to see all the layers of redundancy that the airplane has. You get to ask all your questions. You meet a pilot. You talk for hours with the pilot. You go into the cockpit. You sit. You ask what all the buttons do. You ask what do they do in case of particular emergencies. And then...
So it's full-on exposure therapy.
Oh my God.
You get to see every bit of how the airplane works.
It's remarkably
and the whole
awesome.
system works.
Like, I am so jealous that she got to do this. And then she went up into the traffic control tower, which is like they're the only civilians allowed to do this. They go up there. They don't get to talk to the people working that much, but there is somebody.
Yeah, I mean, they're guiding airplanes in. We should leave them alone.
There is somebody who does that job, who does chaperone them, and then they get to see how all the stuff works. They get to see, how focused everybody is, and learn basically all of their fears, all their reasons to be afraid are dissolved, and they realize what the real concerns are, which really they can handle. It's things like the reason why flights are delayed into SFO is because of the fog, but it's not really a danger while you're coming down. It's a danger while you're on the ground. And so they want the planes to be able to come off the runway safely and not, hit another plane.
Oh, so it's sort of like if there's just traffic pileup, they don't want the car coming in at like 70 miles an hour in behind.
Exactly.
Where the traffic is up. Yeah,
right.
That actually makes sense.
And everyone's chief concern is turbulence. They learn that pilots sleep through turbulence. Like if they're often with international flights, there's actually 2 pilot crews, and the second pilot crew sleeps for the first duration. And they'll just sleep through the turbulence. Like it is no concern to anybody. The people the flight attendants, they don't care about the turbulence any more than it causes them a hassle because they have to put the drinks away. It's like as all these fears are dissolved. She had the best time, and she met everyone in her group. They as a part of the therapy, they had to fly to Portland and back.
So not only do you see how everything works, then you just go on a plane ride.
Yeah.
And did she spend the weekend in Portland?
No,
or she
no.
just turn around and fly right back?
She spent 4 hours in Portland. But she and all her buddies, they had the most amazing bonding experience because they're all terrified of doing this thing that they did together.
So I have to just fast forward and ask, did it work?
Yes.
Was she less afraid of flying when she got on the plane that time?
What her refrain since she's gotten home has been, I need to fly soon in order to keep my my practice up. So she wants to fly somewhere in order to practice her new techniques.
And just so we contextualize this, like, how afraid has your wife been of flying? Like, won't go on any airplanes, or will ride them and is just sort of has to like medicate or something? Like, what does that look like?
Will ride them. However, if there's turbulence, shaking, crying.
Oh wow.
She's not a drinker, but she'll drink wine on an airplane.
Got it.
Yeah, it's like she's.
So this is a
afraid.
big like lifestyle shift. Like it would open up a lot of possibilities for her.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think it did for a lot of people in her groups. It's an amazing program that I guess is very unique to SFO. They've been running it since the 70s.
So do you think I can pretend to be afraid of flying just so I can see all of these things? This is amazing.
That was my first thought. Like the fact that they get to go into an airplane hangar and lay their hands on the underbelly of an airplane and open up all the hatches and see how everything works. That's cool.
It's pretty cool.
I was super jealous. And she was like, they give her permission at certain points to take pictures. So she was able to share some of that with me. She met some really cool people. It's wild. So she was on the Portland flight Super Bowl Sunday. So I had the kids. And so, yeah, we watched it. We watched it at home.
Oh, well, we might as well get to our top story and talk about it.
Top story this week.
So it was a well-watched Super Bowl, up in terms of the ratings from last year.
Okay.
It was a good Super Bowl. I mean, good-ish. I think it was.
It was an exciting game.
It was an exciting game. Like it was worth watching. The play wasn't always like up to the level you want to see. It was a little sloppy at times, but overall, I thought the game was good.
Not a whole lot of big plays, long throws.
No, but there was enough excitement, and it came down to the end. That's all you can kind of hope for.
Well, and it was exciting because it took a twist. Like I honestly thought we had it.
The Niners had the game and just totally blew it. And having a party, I think there was like 60, 70 people at the party I was hosting.
Wow.
And, a wide majority of Niners fans, I'm sure just developed that Niners fandom in the last couple weeks too.
Yeah.
But
nothing wrong with that.
The mood, you could see the mood shift like so quickly, turn on a dime in that party. It was hard to see. But as somebody that didn't have anything at stake, I was just I thought the whole thing was just entertaining.
Yeah.
Halftime. Mm-hmm. What'd you think?
I thought it was.
Did you guard your kids from what was the booty shakingest halftime we've seen yet?
Well, the weird thing was my 12-year-old was saying this is inappropriate, and of course like my 10-year-old's watching too, like my daughter, and I'm she's really innocent about all this stuff. So I just want her to see the dancing. Like I want her to see the performance and not the whole sexuality aspect. However, I think maybe some crept through because she wanted to show mom when she came home. She was like, look at this dancing, mom. And look what they're wearing. So mom provided some useful context. I tried to say, guys, this is all entertainment. Everybody is enjoying themselves. Nobody's uncomfortable with what's going on here on stage. Everyone is happy. And I was just saying, this is a performance. And these are two incredibly talented singer dancers, and look how wonderful they are.
I thought it was great. I mean, I was entertained by it. I wasn't really that terribly mortified by it.
Yeah,
it wasn't as good as Beyonce's halftime performance from a few years ago, which I was like, whoa, this is better than the game. But this was pretty entertaining.
Yeah,
and we got the ultimate pop culture sync up between Shakira because she wore the same outfit that her character wore in Zootopia.
Yeah, I didn't catch that.
I didn't catch that until after when somebody tweeted that out. But I was like, that's just brilliant.
Yeah, it seemed heavily lip synced. I think.
Welcome to the Super Bowl.
Well, that's the thing. Like Lady Gaga didn't. She sang it for real. So did Prince.
Mm-hmm.
I give them heavy props. That bugs me. I know it doesn't bug most people, but whatever.
I think they're on guard because Fergie sang for real, and they were like, "Oh no, we can't have that." All right, let's talk about the ads, which are generated a reasonable amount. I think Smart Park is still one of my favorite ads, which we talked about a little bit last week.
Oh, I didn't know you were on board with Smart Park. Okay, good.
I'm on board with Smart Park. It was fine. Favorites.
Oh gosh, I forget. I don't know. What did you like?
So the Google remember your wife ad was like watching the first 10 minutes of Up. It was really brutal. Good ad.
Oh my God. No, yeah. That was heavy.
I did not think that was totally appropriate for the Super Bowl, but it was a good ad.
That made me tear up a little bit. And I remember my son was watching it and he said that was sad. And I didn't remember thinking it was sad, but I was tearing up about it. But it was a successful ad. Well done, Google.
Lil Nas X with Sam Elliott doing their little dance off for the Doritos ad. I thought was pretty good.
Yeah.
But my number one, by far and away,
Let It Go.
No, okay. I hated Let It Go. Get out of here. It was so dumb. It was like
you got it because I didn't get it at first. I wasn't the biggest Game of Thrones fan, but the ice.
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't. Yeah.
I got all of it.
All right.
I was just like, we're already over this.
Yeah.
My number one is the King, Bill Murray. Groundhog Day.
I didn't even know it was Groundhog Day. Once I found that out, it all made sense. I did not like that ad though.
What?
No, I didn't like it. I felt like, come on, you're better than this, Bill Murray. I obviously that movie's
Bill Murray is not better than this.
One of his best films. Love Groundhog Day. I've seen it countless times. I didn't need this. I didn't need Bill Murray in a commercial doing Groundhog Day.
The ad works on so many levels. It's a car that you want to drive so much that you just wake up every day in your time loop and want to drive it more and more with your groundhog friend.
I get the sales pitch. I get that. But I just did not like seeing Bill Murray pimping Jeep. I did not care for that.
Well, I just ad-splained Jeremy. That didn't go over well. But that was my favorite. What about you?
Looking here.
You're scrolling through all of them. He can't find anything you like.
I don't know.
The Mr. Peanut. Get over this. What is that?
I didn't see that one. I don't know what that is.
It's ridiculous.
Is that worth playing?
No.
Oh.
The only one worth playing was the Bill Murray one. And you didn't like it.
Oh, I didn't like it. There we go. Here, I'll put it on the background.
See, it's brilliant. Call back to the movie.
No. I love the movie. Let's watch the movie. It's got a lot of the same characters.
Yeah, it has Ned Ryerson.
Wonderful. It's wonderful.
This is the best ad at the Super Bowl.
No, I didn't care for it.
Okay. Well, I thought the ads were okay. There wasn't, outside of this Bill Murray one, I didn't feel like there was that many memorable ones. But we will talk about some of the ones that tease some upcoming stuff in our pop culture.
The Jason Momoa one was funny. He took his muscles off.
And his hair.
Yeah.
And his abs and everything.
You didn't care for that? I thought it was pretty funny.
Well, it was okay. All right. We done with the Super Bowl? Oh, wait. Yeah. I should talk about my chicken wings.
Yeah. Well, you had 60 people show up. How many wings apiece?
We went through 60 pounds of chicken wings before halftime, which is like a sick amount. I got to say, Joey Fameli's there with me on this. Ferment your peppers, ferment your hot sauce. It is incredible when you ferment hot sauce, the depth of flavor that you get. And yes, you should if you're going to do a lacto formation, get like a bubbler, do it safely. But it is so good.
What does that mean? Like if you're making your own hot sauce, ferment it.
Ferment your peppers. So you can basically put your peppers in a solution and let them sit and have bacteria from the air come slowly digest bits of it and release out some additional flavor compounds. It adds a depth of flavor to the peppers themselves.
How long of a process is the fermentation?
I fermented 2 weeks. People do it anywhere from like 5 days to a month. I've seen.
That's a commitment.
It's a commitment, but it's not active work. You just sit there and let it go.
That's my favorite type of commitment.
It was awesome. Highly recommend chicken wings. That's my hot take here. All right, let's start with the story that we saw at the Super Bowl, the release of the first teasers for our MCU TV shows on Disney Plus.
That's right. So when I first saw that Captain America shield, I thought this was a commercial for Doritos, and it was going to be some kind of
Never.
goofy,
Captain America would never sell out like that.
not like Bill Murray, some sort of tie-in. But no, it was the first trailer for Captain America and the other guy, the Winter Soldier.
Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
That's it.
Which I like how they're sticking with that title, even though Falcon now wears the title of Captain America. We saw a snippet of WandaVision and the barest snippet of the Loki show. So the news is that these shows are dropping this year into next year. So Falcon and Winter Soldier will drop August 2020. WandaVision will drop, I think, December of 2020. And then Loki sometime in 2021. Falcon and Winter Soldier, like the scenes we saw, tracked as like a action comedy that you would kind of think from those two. And I thought it looked, good from that. But WandaVision is where it's at.
No,
this looked crazy.
Well, in terms of a teaser trailer where you don't get anything more than a few little visual snippets, WandaVision looks perfect for this type of trailer because it really is some sort of strange TV aesthetic.
There's some sort of obviously like get in somebody's head and you're having these psychedelic visions, or you're like traveling to different time periods.
Is that what it is? Because
in WandaVision, they're traveling to different famous TV shows,
right? Where
they're having conversations. They're in what's the Michael J. Fox show from the 80s?
Oh yeah, I don't. It was it. Oh, you mean Family Ties?
Family Ties. There's a scene where they're in Family Ties, and there is a black and white scene.
Yeah.
But the most amazing part is we see Wanda in her comic Scarlet Witch outfit.
Okay, it's not that one.
No,
is it that
one? Wearing just the ridiculous red kind of helmet crown thing.
That means something to you as a comic book fan?
That's what her outfit is in the comics, as the Scarlet Witch.
And it never has been in the Marvel movies?
No.
Wow.
She's always just worn like some leather jacket and stuff.
Oh, that's cool. All right.
Yeah, so I thought that was a nice nod. WandaVision looks totally surreal. I'm in now seeing this teaser. I thought this was perfect.
I wonder what's going on there. I mean, are they trapped in a TV
Vision's
experience?
Dead, right? Vision's dead, so they have to somehow like travel through time, or maybe he exists inside the Infinity Stone. I don't know.
Inside the Infinity Stone?
I don't know.
But they're on a television program.
Yeah, but like he had the mind gem, so maybe like she goes inside the mind gem to like spend time with him. And the way they like connect with each other inside of that world is through these TV shows. I don't know.
Are you not hoping for like a twist on Max Headroom, where Vision is like trapped in the television, and he's like, that's the only place you can communicate with him?
I don't know.
That's what I'm hoping for.
Like, I really have no idea what the setup for this is. I was playing around with in my head, and nothing kind of made sense at all. So, but that's why I'm all in on it.
Winter Soldier's haircut, super short. I got that. That's the only thing I could really get from those teasers.
There's just a bunch of action. Yeah. And then we get Loki saying something menacing, and that's it.
That's not even due out till next year.
Yeah, that's 2021. It's still a long time. August is a ways away to get these shows. So I feel like the bridge that Disney Plus has between now and then is it's pretty sparse. There's only the Star Wars cartoon that's coming out, Rebels. Clone Wars. Sorry, the final season of Clone Wars is coming out.
When is Mandalorian coming out?
Oh, speaking of
season 2,
The Mandalorian coming out in October. We got confirmation of that. I mean, Jon Favreau had hinted that it would be back fall of 2020 when the season wrapped a few weeks ago. So this isn't a surprise, but we just sort of got confirmation of the timing right now. Is October 2020 soon enough for you?
I'll happily wait for my entertainment as long as they get it right. Video games, television, movies. I'm not anxious to see anything. I'll just be excited to see it when it's ready.
Okay. Speaking of then if you have that ability
Yeah.
to wait and delay your gratification, do I have a delayed gratification project for you? It's called Hamill Film.
Oh my gosh. Yes. Yeah, that's crazy to think. One of my kids will be actually 2 years older than he is now by the time it finally comes out.
So Hamilton finally translating to a film adaptation. Well, it's a film essentially of the Broadway play, Broadway musical. Sorry.
Original cast.
Full original cast. They're going to do, I think, multiple recordings. I think they're going to do a couple.
What do you mean recordings?
I think they're going to film a couple different.
No, they've already shot it.
Did they already shoot it?
You don't know? Yeah, no, they shot with the original cast in the Rogers Theater where the thing actually was,
I thought they were going to reunite and do it again.
No. It was done the week before the cast flipped. And
Wow.
the original, like the week before the original cast went separate ways and they replaced a lot of the members. And it's been in the can for well over a year now, I think. And I think they shot 2 performances, as I recall. I'm pulling this off the top of my head, but I think they shot 2 performances, and it's been edited into a film for quite a while now. And Lin-Manuel actually recently said in an interview they're just looking for the right time to show it.
So why is October 2021 the right time to show it?
Well, I imagine because they think if they do release it, it's going to have an impact on ticket sales. And there are companies performing this in multiple theaters throughout our country alone. And they don't want that to happen. But secondly, they probably were waiting for the right deal because Disney, who is actually, handling this, bought the film for $75 million.
That's not a bad price, right?
I read that it was possibly the highest price ever paid for a finished film.
Wow.
Yeah.
Is it really going to do that well? Because it's not like it's a adaptation of the musical. It's like we're not seeing it
Les Mis.
or Chicago or any of those other things.
Which is what I hoped for. I wanted, but the thing I wanted most out of that was the Les Mis recording technology, where they actually do live recordings of the actors on scene and they don't overdub the musical. We'll get that. Like at least it's going to be a live vocal performance, that's important. So that element is good. But you're right. It's going to be a film stage performance.
It's going to be like Fathom Events because they recorded it in front of like one of those.
It's not going to be like Fathom Events because it was made for camera.
So it wasn't like there's a crowd in the theater?
There's going to be cameras on stage going wherever they want. So it's going to be unlike the performance that you see in the theater. But
is that the same without a crowd?
Exactly. So there won't be the reaction and the camaraderie that you feel with an audience. So it's interesting. Who knows how popular Hamilton will be a year and a half from now?
I think still popular. I'm going to go with.
But you said 75 is it was going to be worth $75 million, and so that's the question. We'll see. I mean, Disney's going to release it in theaters and on Disney Plus. I don't know if it'll be simultaneous, but they think it's going to be worth at least $75 million.
Okay. Well, let's talk about a film that's probably going to do better than $75 million. We finally got the trailer. We teased it last week. The Fast and Furious saga, F9.
F this.
What?
I don't understand it.
Justice denied.
I do not. I've never understood the appeal of this line of films.
So you have to basically
Why?
go into your head, take all the intellect, all the rationality of your brain, scoop it out and put it in the trash, and then you turn on a Fast and Furious trailer. That's what it is. It is stupid, ridiculous, over the top, physics defying, logic defying.
Right. Yeah. So this is the most of that we've seen. Is that do you get that from the trailer?
It's getting so over the top. You have John Cena as Dom's brother. Mm-hmm. You have him driving off a cliff, getting picked up out of the air by a stealth airplane, flown by Charlize Theron.
Oh, okay. And then, is it Dom or Don?
Dom.
He drives off the same cliff and uses some sort of what is it? Like
we're going to call it a rope.
It's like a grappling hook to attach to an island, and then He swings the car.
I mean, that's how that works.
It ends too soon. We got to go see the film to see how that shot ends. But boy, that's exciting. That's exciting stuff, I guess.
Are you excited that we're getting justice for Han? Han's return? You have no idea who Han is.
No, but I know I do because he's in the thing, and I could tell there was a beat that's like fans care about this because they're just hanging too long on this guy's face. So, yeah, great, dude. Great. I'm glad you got an F9. Are you going to get an F10? Do you think it's going to end?
No, this will never end.
Okay.
This will never end.
It needs
because I'm sure Vin Diesel has expenses, and that's why this movie will never end.
Well, I imagine his rates got to go up because The Rock's not in this one.
Oh, maybe. We don't have Jason Statham either as Shaw, but I think it's because the timeline for this movie is earlier.
It seems to me like it just has to get more absurd. Like,
yeah,
they're going all in on it. And now
we had a cyborg in the last movie. Idris Elba played essentially like a human hybrid. And now we have stealth airplanes catching cars off cliffs.
It just needs to get more and more like a video game.
Yeah, they attached a full rocket to a car in this trailer.
That's it. That's the stuff.
Yeah, they just got to keep going. I think they stop when they get a car on the moon. That's where we're going. There's going to be a Fast and Furious movie in space. Somehow there'll be a car up there.
What will end it? What is jumping the shark for Fast and Furious? I mean, what's going to end this series?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Nothing.
All right. It's going to be like the new James Bond.
And I hope nothing. This is amazing.
Oh, my God.
I totally came around on this whole franchise. I want to give one plug. I'm not going to spoil anything. I was a huge fan of The Good Place. Its finale aired this past week.
Oh, no. It's over?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow.
Series finale.
Huh.
I bawled.
Really?
Through most of it. I thought it hit the landing in the most perfect way.
Really?
I thought the message of the finale really resonated throughout the series. It was really touching. It was sweet. It wasn't neat either. I mean, it wrapped up all the storylines, but it wasn't, I would say, too easy either. I thought they made some choices that were a little hard.
Was it just the last episode that really tied a knot on things, or did they ramp up to it?
They ramped up to it. I felt like there was parts of this season that felt a little like filler trying to get there, but you could see there's a lot of thought and care put into the finale. I highly recommend it. I really love that series.
It's not too many seasons either.
It was only 4 seasons.
Yeah.
You have to be kind of into that type of show where you're going to get a lot of Immanuel Kant. Are you into philosopher history? You're going to get a whole dose of it. Trolley problem? You into it? Let's talk about it.
Really?
Yeah, it gets dense at points, but it was funny. It was clever.
Yeah.
It was thoughtful. It's everything you wanted out of a show. I think that's it for pop culture news.
Hey.
Do we have a message from Norm?
Well, we're going to try something a little different. Oh, yeah. He wanted a heads up.
Well, no heads up.
So check this out, ladies and gentlemen. Let's send Norm a text message together, shall we? Tell Norman Chan we're going to FaceTime you now. Our friend is currently not in this office, and in fact, not in the state, and in fact, not in the time zone. He is far, far away from here in the most magical place on earth, Disney World, which is far away from our more local Disneyland. And he is probably in line for a ride. I imagine right now it must be 12:37 p.m.
Okay.
And he says, "Give me 2 minutes."
Oh, okay. Now we have to. We just got to keep going, and we'll just bump into tech news.
You want to? Okay.
What are we going to fill this? Okay, we can fill this.
I don't know. When were you last at Disney World?
I was last. Oh, this is a good question. Just about a year ago, in March of last year, I went to all 4 parks, and then I went to 2 Universal parks. I loved it. It's all together a bit. It's a lot. I will say that. I found doing Disney World where you're doing, different parks every day. That at least that's how I did it. And you're there, at least for our family. I was getting there like basically at open, and we're staying till, within an hour or right up to close. So it's like 12-hour days every day. It wore me down. How about you? Have you been to Disney World?
I don't think I've been to Disney World since I was 10. And it was like right after Epcot was built. And I want to go back. but it's so far away. Norm seems to find a way to do these things. I cannot be bothered to fly across the country with my family and go to Disney World. But I want to get there because they have the Avatar ride, and having seen this Imagineering documentary on Disney Plus, that made me want to ride that ride. But now I also want to go to what's the new one in China?
The Tron ride?
Yeah, I want to ride the Tron ride for sure. But the Rise of the Resistance is the ride that I'm most excited to hear Norm's review of.
Which pretty much, I've heard the lines are so long for that you're going to do that and maybe a couple other things, and that's your entire day.
That is not what I've heard. In fact, it's
at Disney World.
Yeah, in both Disney World and Disneyland, it's a virtual queue, and so the struggle is getting into the park and queuing up, but you're not really in line until you get called, and then you go and you go through the process. But that process is not that terrible, and
it sells out really fast, right?
Yeah, in a matter of seconds. Like there are people who are in the park at launch or at opening, and they don't get in a queue. Like the app fails, or they just don't click fast enough. That's brutal. Yeah, so I'm hoping to hear that Norm did. Apparently, he's on a ride and he wants to do it in 15 minutes. So let's move on.
Mm-hmm. Let's go through tech news,
and we'll take a break in tech, and we'll check in with Norm. I wanted to ride the ride with him, but
I think that's frowned upon, we'll just say. Okay. Unless he's in like Small World or something. All right, there's not a ton of tech news, but we'll run through it, some of the smaller bits that came up. GeForce Now is finally out of beta. This is NVIDIA's cloud-based gaming system, just like Google Stadia, except with a couple key differences. So one, you have to have a card that's capable of doing this, running this service. It's $5 a month, but the big difference between it and Stadia is that you can use your existing library of games. So they have integration with Epic's store, Steam,
Battle.net
and Uplay.
What? Do you understand the specifics of this? I did not know about this service. How does it work?
So it's the same idea of
where the server's hosted.
They have instances that are stored that run in the cloud. So it's just like Stadia. So they have a virtual store running.
But Stadia had 5 games at launch or something like that. How do they allow your entire library to run?
Well, because they created deals with the existing libraries or the existing services. So like Steam and Epic, you're basically just playing games through their library, through an instance in the NVIDIA cloud that they created.
I do not believe this. There's information lacking here. There's no way that you can play every game on Steam.
I don't. It's not every game, according to this, but it's pretty close.
Okay.
There's hundreds of titles that are available at launch, that said. I mean, the downside to all these services is like you have to have massively fast internet to make it work. But also...
Do you? It's just a video stream. I mean, obviously you want low latency because you want the controls to be responsive.
Yeah, but I mean, you still probably need like 15, 30 megabits per second?
Right. But you don't
Which is pretty fast.
Yeah, but you don't need like gigabit necessarily. But still, it's...
the impediment here is you need like one of their RTX cards to do this.
Yeah, that's a several $100 investment.
Yeah. I think that's the big thing here. I mean, we got to try it. I don't know. Does Norm have one of the RTX cards? No, he has a Titan, right?
I think he does.
All right, so maybe we'll ask him to try it out then.
I think he has a 2080 maybe.
Okay. Speaking of, we have a couple tech events that are now being affected by the coronavirus.
Okay.
So Mobile World Congress is probably the next big, huge tech conference that's coming up in Barcelona. I think it's in 2 or 3 weeks at this point. And a number of manufacturers are pulling out because of coronavirus. So LG and ZTE both basically said they're not going to go. And I think their concern is there's usually like 100,000 people from around the world that come to this. I think there's lots of concern that a number of the attendees have historically come from China and manufacturers in that place.
Yeah.
And there's concern about like if we don't have the pandemic under control at that point, is it going to be safe for people to have like that density of a population in that kind of place?
What do you think? Is that a smart move or not?
I mean,
It's overkill.
it's still weeks away. We don't have an effective screen for it. I think this is the reality. I think we're going to see more companies drop out of Mobile World Congress unless they have like an announcement that they have to make on a phone.
Okay.
And even then, they'll probably scale back. We'll probably see more announcements of how the conference is dealing with that. I'm a huge podcast listener. You? I don't think you listen to that many podcasts, do you?
I go through phases. I go through my podcast phases. I love the Daily and Reply All, but there's a retro games one I enjoy, but I'm not a weekly listener. Like I when I get on the road and I go somewhere and I have a long drive, I'm in podcast world.
I think I listen to 6 to 7 podcasts a day.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, something like that. I'm up to like 2.4x that I listen to almost all my podcasts at. So I like fire through a ton.
That is like the best advice for watching YouTube tutorials.
Oh yeah.
Increase the speed.
2x. Always. Well, today in podcast land, Spotify, who's made huge investments in podcasts, they spent $200 million acquiring Gimlet last year.
Yeah.
This morning announced they have bought The Ringer, which is Bill Simmons' podcast network and website that was about sports and pop culture. So they have a number of really successful podcasts. I'm a member of the Underscore for Binge Mode. Binge Mode was one of their most popular series, which examined, did a deep examination of Game of Thrones and Harry Potter, and now they just wrapped Star Wars. He has his own podcast, the Bill Simmons podcast, the Rewatchables, where they have famous people on to rewatch famous movies. They had Tarantino on, and they watched 3 movies that he wanted to watch together, and then broke them down. It was fascinating listening to Tarantino go through an analysis of movies. I really like a lot of the Ringer content, so this is huge. And
good for them.
Spotify announced that podcast listenership is up 200% in just the last quarter.
That's weird.
Because they keep acquiring all the podcasts.
Oh, I see. So their subscriber base has gone up.
Yeah, so their subscriber base has gone up huge.
Apple's supposed to be doing more with podcasts. Have you heard that? Like they're supposed to be getting into acquiring first party and creating first party podcasts.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, obviously they have been the de facto database for podcast listings for some time
and
now.
Reviews and all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
But they've never really taken it so seriously as to invest in production. And so I think they have said that that's going to be a thing going forward.
Where would they put this? Just on the music app? Then?
Yeah. Well, you mean why not the podcast app?
Well, I mean, yes, they would put it
But
in
it would
podcast,
only be available.
But they're not
there.
going to do it in a premium thing like their music.
Paid?
Yeah.
I imagine it not. Because will people pay for podcasts? Is that a thing?
Yeah. There's a lot of people that pay for podcasts
Well,
already.
perhaps.
I mean, it would just be the most Apple thing to do, to put it inside of a premium service,
Yeah.
especially if they're producing the content and it's some sort of, highly produced show. I'm a little surprised by that. I've seen a lot of information about Apple reinventing how podcast metrics are done.
Yeah.
Because podcast metrics stink. They're usually just like number of downloads.
Right.
But they don't tell you anything about listenership
Right.
and where people are listening, all that kind of stuff.
Well, you need access to the playback devices for that, which Apple has.
Yeah, I guess they do. Another tease that came out, and you should put this video up from the Twitter link there, is we got a tease of a new animatronic that's coming to Disney.
Yeah, why are people didn't people watch the Imagineering documentary? This was in that. Mm-hmm. Did you remember that?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, there's 2 bits of information that was pretty exciting about this. This is an image of Spider-Man essentially soaring through the air, swinging into action, and he's going to be part of Avengers Campus, which is opening in summer of 2020. And the news that I don't remember if this was in the Imagineering documentary or not. I don't think it was. Is that this Spider-Man animatronic has no wires?
No, I totally understand that. Yeah, that wasn't it. In fact, even before this documentary, there was footage of this animatronic on the web. It might have leaked. It might not have been something that was officially released, but it was just like a white figure. And I don't even think in the Disney Imagineering documentary that it was skinned as Spider-Man. They didn't even say it was going to be Spider-Man. It was just clearly Spider-Man. It was a figure flying through the air doing a Spider-Man pose, and but now it's clearly revealed it is Peter Parker in full costume doing Spider-Man stuff through the air.
The other thing that was revealed, new information to me, was Grant Imahara from Mythbusters fame revealed that he had been part of the team that had been working on this.
Oh, neat.
And so he was commenting just on Twitter about how challenging it was to design an animatronic, no wires, soaring through the air like this.
They basically have a huge catapult. I don't know, it's more like a slingshot. And they release the robot, and it is a fully articulated human robot. And then I'm curious, like, how does it know when to enact its different movements? But it stays upright in the way it's supposed to be, and it does the physical body movements, and then it lands in a net, and they just catch it, like it was like a fallen circus performer.
Yeah, I don't I'm waiting for a larger behind the scenes on this, because this seems.
Well, I want to know where it's going to appear. Like, will it be a part of a performance? You'll see like an actor run behind a wall, and then you'll see this fly through the air, and it will look like it's the actor, or will it just be in the park? Will it fly above?
Well,
people?
Avengers Campus is more like the area, right?
Yeah.
So this is, I would imagine this is part of a performance or a show instead of any sort of ride-related something.
Maybe, but it could be part of a ride.
That would be crazy if it's part of a ride.
I don't know. It's like it's an expensive effect, and so it needs to be a focus somehow. And so maybe it lends itself to a stage show, but. And Avengers is not, you know what? Isn't the first ride that's going to be open in Avengers going to be a Spider-Man ride? However, I think it's going to be a play on Toy Story Mania. So that I don't think this has a spot in that.
You mean like where you have the guns?
Yeah.
Got it. I'm really bad at transition, so I'm just going to keep going down our list of stories.
There's no need to compete with Norman Chan.
Okay, good.
Is it time to call him yet? Has it been 15 minutes?
We got another couple tech stories to go through. So
it's only been 10.
Okay. We got news just this morning that Dan Houser, who was the writer, co-founder, he was behind some of the biggest Rockstar games, is leaving the company.
Yeah, that's something.
I think that's big something. I think a lot of speculation if this means maybe like sales hasn't been good and he's doing this ahead of financials coming out.
No.
GTA 6 is delayed, like that kind of thing.
That's the weird thing, is that he's not waiting for GTA 6 to be out, because that's going to be a big payday.
Yeah, so I don't know. I think there's going to be rampant speculation for the next couple days. I think I'm excited to see where he will go. Because, he's created some of the most, or been behind the writing of some of the largest games in history.
Yes.
Not personally some of my favorite games,
right?
But some of the biggest open world games that exist.
I always wonder, like, who really... Steve Jobs took a lot of credit, right, at Apple for many, many devices that were all engineered by other people. And certainly he drove them, but he doesn't deserve all the credit, and no. I think that that's the case here too. And certainly the writing seems like it was largely thanks to him, and the writing in the GTA series is quality. But I don't think that there's a shortage of great writers. No.
I'm not like, no one should pronounce this the end of Rockstar by any means.
The technology those games are completely. It's like technological marvels. Like, they are games. If you know anything about game design, they're in the category of games where you're like, how did you do that? Just from a technical standpoint, given any length of time, how was this accomplished? These amazingly intricate, detailed worlds and all of the technologies that you can do and employ and use inside of them. So that's the stuff that really amazes me about those games. All of the writing is good.
I don't think video games get enough credit or discussion about their writing.
Yeah.
Both good and bad.
Right. I don't think, obviously, it's not a focus enough either on the development standpoint.
It depends on the game series,
it does.
right? There's some that are really intricately written, but I don't know. I think it's a pretty big departure.
Yeah.
All right, let's go full ridiculous.
Oh, good. F9. What are we doing?
This is F9 level stuff.
Okay.
And it's a story out of Japan that in Yokohama Harbor, they are building a 60-foot tall Gundam.
Okay. That's a big robot, right?
It is a giant robot that
Okay.
they're building here. It will apparently move. Gundam's creator released like a behind the scenes video where he kind of toured the manufacturing of some of the pieces.
Uh-huh.
And if you scroll down in the story, you can see a real picture of the robot's hand.
Oh, yeah.
And that hand in the picture is 6.5 feet tall, just the hand.
Uh-huh.
And it's just all these aluminum parts that articulate. It apparently weighs around 440 pounds. The behind the scenes video is totally enjoyable to watch the Gundam, creator.
Why is he making
walk
this?
around. Well, it's another company making it. He just visited them. First of all, let's back up here.
Okay.
Did you just ask why Japan is making a 60-foot robot? It's because Japan. It's just like how it is.
Fair enough. Fair
Like,
enough. It sounds like an expensive endeavor.
That's not culturally insensitive. I don't think.
Sorry.
I think it's just true.
I think I was culturally insensitive.
I think the behind the scenes really I thought was a good watch because he was giving them notes. He's like, yeah, the chest isn't like out enough for it to look like a Gundam.
Yeah.
Because how do you build like a Gundam at 60-foot scale? Like I don't even know what the number scale is. Like I did a walk through Comic-Con with Norm last year. We walked by these Gundam boots and he was like, "Oh, that's the 1/234th scale," and like he knows them all by heart. So I wonder what the number on this actually is. What do you think? Worth it?
Worth what? What is it?
As an attraction, would you go see this?
Is that what it is? It's an attraction. So I'm gonna go see this. Like, is it on the side of the highway or is it at a
It's basically
park?
like on a pier.
It's on a pier and it's gonna stand there and move around.
I think it's going to move a little bit. Like it's not going to get up and fly away.
That's an articulated hand, my friend. That is.
I mean,
gonna
it's
move.
not. Yeah, it's articulated. It's
Yeah.
gonna like, but it's not gonna walk or anything like that. You shouldn't be thinking about this in like the Megabots
I
kind of
didn't
way.
expect it to walk. That's too much. That's asking too much. It's too dangerous.
Oh, really?
I've never been to Japan. There's many things I want to see in Japan. This is in the top 10.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
There you go. I'm all in on this too.
Norm's ready. You want to do this last story?
Yeah,
And
let's
then we'll
make a-
give him a ring.
Yeah, we'll give him a ring. And the last story, and it's a little bit of a bummer, is The Verge had a long article about the struggles of our friends over at Boosted.
I didn't read this article, and I was sad to hear it because I have an original dual motor boosted board and have loved it since I got it.
Yeah, I mean the article just indicated that there's been some prominent departures from the company. That they're really trying to, build out from just having skateboards. They released the first electric scooter. I think that was just in 2019, right?
What?
Their first
Yes.
scooter.
Yeah, the Rev.
And that there's been some words that there's cutting back, that they're behind on payments and stuff.
Aw.
And it's less like, I love this company. I think they make incredible products. I've seen you on their products. I hope it doesn't mean something for the larger field as a whole.
There's a lot of competition, and that's part of the larger field. I think must be part of the problem because they have way more competition than when they launched on Kickstarter many years ago. And a lot of the competition is cheaper. Like their margins seem to be a bit wider than the competition's, and maybe that's part of what's the problem here. However, I mean their quality has been the best, and I'm sorry to see them having trouble.
I mean, do you think that matters in a market like this when it comes to electric skateboards and scooters?
Quality?
Yeah, because I mean, there's certain like markets, like I think with like cars, electric cars, where
Yeah.
I think quality is going to be a big factor. But is that going to be the case with a scooter? I mean, the Rev was something like what, $1,500 or
think
something
maybe
like that?
16. Yeah. Yeah. And you can buy one on Amazon for 500, but it's not going to be nearly as powerful. It probably will only have one motor and not two, and it won't be as powerful of a motor. And the thing where things like boosted really matter are in cities with hills like San Francisco. And so most people don't have that kind of terrain.
Yeah. So I hope they emerge because I think they make great products, and I think they innovate. They made a design for a board that really invited all these copycats, and that's a sign of a great thing.
I hope they can figure their way out of this.
All right, let's now get a message from Norm.
Well, I'll give him a shot. Let's see what we got here.
I hope he's in line somewhere.
Okay, currently FaceTiming. Hey, we got him. You there?
I'm here.
Oh my gosh! All right, let me get you on the screen, on the big screen. This is fantastic.
Just 1 second, Norm. How is it going?
It's going all right. The weather is very pleasant. It's a slow season here at Walt Disney World. It actually feels very much like Bay Area weather in the mid 70s to very low 80s. And I'm here at Epcot.
You're taking us on the most scenic part of Epcot, a black blank
This is
wall.
what most of it looks like right now, because so much of it is under construction. You have the 50th anniversary of Epcot next year. It was, of course, opened in 1971. Walt Disney World. And Epcot was, I'm wearing my Epcot t-shirt. But
are you auditioning for a job as a tour guide? What is this?
No.
History of Epcot is amazing.
all the info. But there's a lot of construction going on, so you can actually see over there in the background. That's, of course, Spaceship Earth. Just did that ride.
Oh, okay.
Thank the Phoenicians.
Spaceship Earth is the great nostalgia ride of Epcot.
And if you see right in front of that, there's a lot of construction because they're expanding. So there used to be a big Starbucks there and a place where you can try all the different Fanta flavors. That's gone now. And there's going to be a whole different pavilion there.
I'd heard that the thing they're building there is a Guardians of the Galaxy roller coaster.
I think that's what it is. Yep.
Wait, they're putting a Guardians. They're putting a Guardians thing in Epcot.
Apparently. Have you gone to and joined the Resistance yet?
Not yet. That's tomorrow. So the past 2 days have been kind of scouting and making sure we can get out of the hotel early enough time, because the trick tomorrow is going to be inside the property of Disney Hollywood Studios at basically when it opens at 8 a.m. And that's when we use the app to use the boarding group and find out if we can make it. And we've heard that even though it's been open for a couple months now, the boarding groups all fill up in about 5 minutes.
Well, it's good that it's going to be a weekday on Thursday. I would think it's better than the weekend.
Yes. Slow season, weekday. It's not magic hours. It's not open extra hour or anything. But it still fills up. Now, Disney Hollywood Studios is considered a half-day park. They have enough attractions. If you watch the Imagineering story, it's a half-day park. So it's there, so you could do that. But now they have Galaxy's Edge, and Galaxy's Edge itself is almost like a half-day park. We hear it does empty out basically at noon because people who don't get their boarding groups, they go home. They try to do Smuggler's Run, and then they go home, go back to go to a swimming pool or something. But a lot of the rides that I remember from 2 years ago aren't there anymore. So that classic American movie classics ride where you go through the history of Hollywood cinema, that isn't there anymore. The Ellen ride here at Epcot isn't there anymore, which tells you about telecommunications. I think Bill Nye's in that one too. The Chevrolet test track, which was the technology test bed for the Cars ride, that's under refurbishment.
Wow.
So not running right now, but it is the Festival of the Arts. So the other big part of Epcot is the big the tour around the world, and that's where we're headed right now. About to get some lunch. Behind me is that big lake, and so we're gonna go do a big lap head to Canada.
My last question for you, Norm. Favorite thing you've ridden so far?
Favorite thing, we did Mission Space earlier today. Really love Mission Space. That's the one that's gives you actually G-forces, and they redid some of the AV, so it's Gina Torres is the tour guide, not Gary Sinise. So I really enjoyed that one.
Gina, yeah.
Maybe a little bit sick.
I like that.
Very enjoyable.
I like that tweak last year.
What about the Avatar ride? Have you had a chance to see that yet?
Not yet. That's gonna be Friday. That's gonna be at Pandora, at Animal Kingdom. Walking reservation. Well, we're going and we're walking because we have reservations.
Hi, hi, Danica Chan.
Well, good luck on your reservations. Thanks for reporting in.
It's right around the corner. We're fine.
All right.
So
good luck,
head over
Chance.
to Canada. Good luck with the podcast.
We'll see you next week.
Hopefully come back next week for the full report.
All right. Have fun.
Bye, y'all.
Oh, technology worked. And
it's cool.
I think the story of this week is that, technology is hard, especially building apps. So that was kind of cool that actually worked out.
Did we play the technology theme for this segment?
I don't know. We're running the podcast our way now.
Hey everyone, Norm here. Before we continue on, I want to let you know that this week's episode of This Is Only a Test was made possible with support from Capital One Eno. Capital One knows life doesn't alert you about your credit card. That's why they created Eno, the Capital One assistant that catches things that might look wrong with your credit card, like over-tipping, duplicate charges, or potential fraud, then sends an alert to your phone and helps you fix it. It's another way Capital One is watching out for your money when you're not. Capital One, what's in your wallet? See CapitalOne.com for details. Now back to the show.
We play it like with music optional.
The VR Minute. Virtual reality this week.
All right, John Carmack. Technically not working at Oculus in the same capacity anymore.
Dude, this is so good.
But he sends out a tweet that ignites the passion of everyone our age.
This could have been the top story of the week. So everyone knows what John Carmack's doing.
It's literally him sending an email too.
Right. Well, it was him like looking for a little help too, and he got it. So John Carmack, as we all know, left Oculus or Facebook in order to work on his own in his living room with his son on general artificial intelligence. And he tweeted, this is just a few months after he left, he tweeted, if an AI is going to grow up watching a lot of television,
okay,
there are likely better and worse choices for material. I sent a request to the partnerships email for Sesame Workshop to check for the availability of the full back catalog of Sesame Street for research purposes. How great is that? So John Carmack's AI will be watching Sesame Street 24 hours a day, learning how to treat people right and how to get to Sesame Street.
This is amazing. This is it's been before us the entire time. We have content to train AIs to act like the best of us.
Well, this is just the perfect chaser to all those jokes about, oh, great, the guy who invented Doom is going to be making an AI. The guy who brought demons into our world and, story be damned and like first-person shooter genre invented is making an AI.
So we don't know if he's actually been able, all we got from the tweet thread is that he managed to contact somebody at Sesame Street Workshop.
Exactly. Yeah.
So we don't know if he's actually going to be able to do this.
He's John Carmack. First of all, he's influential. Second of all, he can probably afford it if he needs some sort of fee. Second, most importantly, I would imagine Sesame Street Workshop sees the light and want to help. This is a great use of their material. This is wonderful. So I'm going to imagine that it's working out.
Well, I'm very hopeful for this.
What I find stunning is that John's at the point where he's already thinking about having his AI watch TV.
Well, I mean, it depends on what he means by an AI. If he's talking about just some sort of neural network to start,
right. But what?
Yeah, he could do that. He could have that built already.
But what aspects of the show is that neural net interpreting? Is it just the audio? Is it the video? It's a great accomplishment to even be at the point where it can start ingesting that information.
I want the neural net to be thinking about what it means to have an imaginary friend.
Right. That's adorable. Oh man, that's great.
All right, we don't have a ton of VR news this week.
Why not Mr. Rogers? Let's get him on board too, right?
I don't know, Mr. Rogers is pretty real.
There you go.
So I mean, I don't mean real in the physically real. I mean, it gets into some emotionally tough concepts.
Yeah.
More so than Sesame Street, the way I remember it. So I would say Sesame Street's actually a better starting point.
Okay.
Let's make sure it can handle that.
Right.
Because Mr. Rogers, it gets into some really tough places. He had a lot of kids that were sick on talking about their challenges.
He got into racial divisions. I do think, though, it's important for an AI to understand the difference between imagination and reality. And Mr. Rogers would get there.
I mean, we barely understand that as humans. So, I mean, how are we going to do?
Yeah.
So just some rapid fire VR news this week, because there isn't a ton of it. There's been a new update for Quest.
There is an update for Quest. As usual, you cannot force it, so you just have to wait. It usually takes a week for everyone to end up getting it. It rolls out little by little. In case they find a bug, they can sort of stop it. This is version 13. It was released, let's see, this is going to be 2 days ago as of this podcast's release. And the major update, this is not a major overall update, but the biggest feature is the ability to switch between hand tracking and controller tracking automatically.
Oh, that's
so
nice.
You put your controllers down, you raise your hands, suddenly you're in hand tracking mode. You grab your controllers, you're back in control.
Have you gotten the update yet to see how well that works?
No.
Okay. It'll be interesting to see how seamless that is.
Yes. Well, there's videos of it, and it looks good. Looks like they pulled it off. So that's a great idea. It makes a lot of sense.
Okay. We have a new headset, the Lynx R1, which is a $1,500 standalone pass-through AR headset.
Not a consumer headset. This is going to be for enterprise. And not Starship Enterprise.
It's only for holodecks. Yeah,
this is holodecks. This is this is interesting. It's sort of like it's the Vario approach to AR. So Vario is a Finnish company that has a VR headset that is also augmented reality, and it uses pass-through cameras on the front in order to superimpose or augment imagery onto the into like real world space. So it passes through the real world, very low latency. You look around. I'm explaining Vario because that's the one I've used. And then it will, augment, does world scanning. And so it knows where geometry is and it can put imagery into the world. And the nice thing about that is it's not, is that the augmented reality imagery is fully opaque. It looks like it exists in the real world. With most AR headsets, like the Magic Leap or HoloLens, they're pass-through. It's not a totally different system where it's a reflective system where you look through a piece of glass, you see the real world through it, and then imagery is reflected onto that glass. So everything that you see that's augmented is somewhat transparent. So they look like ghosts, which in some cases is fine, but not in all. So these guys have done the other technique, which I think is probably a sweeter spot for the time being. And even though it's a fully digital world, it does full VR. That kind of system is capable of full VR as AR should be, or full AR. So it's a nice flexible system. The neat thing about this is it's completely all in one. The Vario headset is cabled. It's got a tether to a computer. This is all in one, sort of like the Quest. I would love to try it.
So my initial reaction is like, this is a trite statement, but when you try to do everything, you tend to do nothing that well.
Yeah.
Is doing an all-in-one what we want here, or do we want them to really specialize in one or the other? Because it seems like it's not like we're there yet with the pass-through AR headsets that exist in terms of the level of fidelity and stuff. And it seemed like that's where this was going. So like having the capability to go to full VR just feels like a tack on that. Would you want that in the same headset?
Well, like I said, I think with current generation technology, I do think this combination of AR and VR using a pass-through system for the AR makes a lot of sense. Like
it's what the other systems kind of have.
It's what Vario has, and Vario is far more expensive than $1,500. So and it's cabled. So I don't imagine that this will look as good as the Vario headset. The Vario headset uses actually two displays. One that's like Retina Res in the center, and another one for your wider field of view that's lower resolution. This I imagine is more of a standard VR headset with AR.
Is it only two pass-through cameras?
It's 4 cameras, 2 for world scanning. They're talking about the Lynx now. It's 2 for world mapping and 2 for the pass-through. Cool. I'm super intrigued by it. My biggest question is how good is the SLAM? How good is that world tracking? Because really, the only all-in-one I've seen do it well is the Quest, but they can do it at a $400 price point. So I mean, maybe they pulled it off. Maybe I'd love to try it. I'd love to see it. I don't expect we'll be able to do that because they're not focusing on consumers. This is not a gaming device. It doesn't come with controllers. This is a hand tracking device made for.
I mean, you said it was enterprise, so it's not going to be about games.
Still, it's cool that this is out there.
There's a story you mentioned this week, and CNET wrote an article about it. At Sundance, there was a new VR film that came out called Spaced Out that actually leverages VR underwater.
I did not link this. This must have been Norm. Should we FaceTime him? Get him in here. Do you know anything about this?
No. Okay, we're skipping this story.
Okay.
Because we made a mistake, because
forget it.
Norm put it in. The last story I saw this morning, and that Google Glass still exists for enterprise people. But today, they actually opened up so that anyone can buy Google Glass AR version 2, I believe is what it is.
Yeah.
For $999.
That's cheaper, right?
Yes, I believe it is a little bit cheaper than it was for enterprise. I know. Are there many businesses that are actually using this?
Oh, I would think not.
What? Yeah, I'm like curious. Like, is it manufacturing places that are using it, like in that kind of AR overlay type thing?
But it's not AR. Like, let's not even call it that.
Fair.
This is not magically. It's not HoloLens. This is like you could get a little tiny display that's not augmenting. Yeah,
there's no camera for.
There's no world mapping.
Yeah.
Like it's just a display that sort of you can sort of see out of your peripheral. It's I mean it's certainly there's something futuristic about it, but it's not. It's outside the realm of what we think of as AR. In terms of like actually being able to map things into your space, put things on your desk, see where your walls are, put TVs on your wall.
But if you want to feel like it's 2013 again, you can buy this.
Well, I guess there are people out there who are younger and nostalgic for a more recent era.
For 6 years ago.
Yeah.
That wraps it up for VR Minute because we don't have much, but we have one more segment this week.
We don't have an interlude for that.
No. We can go because we're starting our first weekly segment where we discuss the previous week's episode of Star Trek Picard. And we're now at episode 2, Maps and what's the name of it? Maps and Legends. What's the name of the episode? I slacked you the image.
Oh, that's nice because I'm looking through my Twitter feed.
So if you're listening to the podcast and you have not watched Star Trek Picard, this is your time to stop listening. And we're going to go into spoiler territory. We have put up the spoiler alert image on the TV, and we're going to get into it right about now.
Okay.
All right.
Here we are.
We are at episode 2 of Picard. Now, I think all of us, just to recap, we liked episode 1. Yeah. We thought it was an interesting return to this character, very different Jean-Luc Picard than where we left him at the end of TNG.
Very different everything about this show.
There are some intriguing characters, his Romulan sort of like assistants, helpers. Yeah. I think we're intrigued by the whole Vosh, right? Yeah. The synthetic. I can't remember. Dodge. Sorry. Why did I call her Vosh? I know why I called her Vosh.
I call her Doge.
Dodge?
No,
Doge?
it's Dodge.
It's Dodge, right? There were some intriguing characters. It moved along. It was definitely older Picard. Episode 2, though, we are now like getting into the details. And we get, at the beginning of this episode, I thought it was an incredible scene.
Dude, I did too. This was an amazing scene. And And I got to tell you, this is neither here nor there. But my son, who watched all of Next Generation, watched the first episode and was like, I don't know if I need to watch this. So I don't know if he's
because it wasn't Jean-Luc Picard.
I don't know. I don't know if it's just like it's not Counter-Strike, like,
okay,
or if it was a little darker and more intense, and maybe he's just like, I like the uplifting stuff, which is kind of how I felt about Next Gen. But I'm down with Picard. I like it. Anyway, he missed that first scene. I was just like, oh my god, should I rewind? I didn't. He didn't see it. But you're right. I felt like that scene was remarkable. Like I loved that scene, and I what I got from that is that it was backstory. You think we're on the same page there?
Yeah, we're getting flashbacks to Utopia Planitia, where we saw the moment that the synthetics got their version of Order 66.
Utopia, what?
Planitia.
Is that what, on Mars?
Yeah, that's the name of the shipyard.
How do you know that? From the show?
Yeah.
You just memorized that stuff?
Yeah.
That's incredible. All right. Proceed.
So we see the synthetic, the android that has a very data-like look to, especially to the eyes and the skin, get its version of Order 66.
Well, but none of the personality.
No.
Like this
it's just like a robot.
Yeah. And but it goes through some of the same kind of mechanics where a human tells a joke, android doesn't get it, fakes a laugh, proceeds with its work. And then you see something happen in its eye, and it, like you said, Order 66, goes over to the computer. All the humans are like, what are you doing? Step away from there. And he's doing the data speed input, and then basically the robot kills everybody.
It, like, brutally murders everyone and all the humans in the room.
And then himself.
And then you see the aftermath, like essentially the ongoing attacks that were happening at the space yard related to the synthetic revolution. I thought that was an amazing opening, and then we immediately lose all that momentum. And I felt like the show in this episode really slowed down.
Yeah. Well, what you got, unfortunately, you're right. It started out so strong. And then I felt like I enjoyed a lot of the drama. But towards the end of the episode, there were two very dry, dialogue-driven, expository scenes between two characters. And it was just like 5 minutes of two people talking, and evil people. So it's a very monotone kind of back and forth. Not a whole lot of emphasis put on any certain words. It was just very, dark, and it told a lot without showing a lot.
Yeah,
and I was thinking about what you said last week about how I felt like Picard was too quick to believe that she was related to Data, but you were like you liked that because they just moved the episode forward. And I thought, well, maybe that's what they're doing here. But I wanted more, given how much we got at the beginning.
Yeah, overall, I didn't really enjoy this episode. I thought it was paced funny. And there was the MacGuffin, and I'll just like rewind to a little earlier. They go to Dodge's house to see like how she's killed, and they go full CSI, Star Trek CSI.
That was awesome.
On the thing. I thought it was fine.
Well, what I liked about it was you got to see the Romulan perspective on what the Federation assumes. And so Picard was like, you can't use technology like that. It's forbidden. It's against the law. And besides, it doesn't even work well. Like, and she says, that's what we wanted you to think. And she pulls out this cool like time scanner and is able to see into the past, which I thought was awesome. And then of course she gets to a point where it like the record vanishes and it's no longer there.
It's all been scrubbed somehow.
Yeah.
But the MacGuffin in that scene is when it is like, is this the Tal Shiar? Is it the Romulan CIA? And it was like, no, it might be the Zat Vash, this new like even more secretive group. And I was like, come on.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I liked that. And what I liked,
they just made up this whole new thing, which I don't mind, but it was just introduced, and I thought the way it was introduced was so clunky.
It's all made up, right?
What? No.
I mean,
this is the future. This is the 24th century. Anything is possible.
What I liked about that is I felt like I started to get some of the critique that might be Patrick Stewart's or the larger Star Trek, movement of what's going on in today's real world. And which is like they set up, what was it called? What is this new secret society?
Zat Vash.
They set up the Zat Vash as being not just like anti-synthetic, but having a hatred of them, like a deep repulse hatred of them. And like that's the thing that ties them all together. And I think that I felt like Patrick Stewart was alluding before the series began to the fact that this series is going to be a reaction for him personally to Brexit and the Donald Trump, administration. And I feel like racism may be a part of both of those things on some level for some people. And I don't want to make a big stroke, but I do think that that's in there, and that's definitely what the Zatfash, what ties them all together. That feels
a little heavy-handed. We haven't truly met any of them. We probably meet members of that towards the end of this episode, though it's not totally revealed. I get more undertones of religious fervor than I do anything else from that group.
Religious.
And there's some sort of
or outside of that.
Yeah, there's some sort of reason that synthetics are bad. That is part of their long storied history of the Romulans or something. I don't know. Something ridiculous like that is the undertone I get. I think all the Brexit stuff is in the Federation withdrawing from the actual Romulans getting killed by the supernova. Anyways,
yeah,
I felt like the whole Zatvash introduction was too easy.
I liked it.
We see him finally assembling what I think is going to be a crew? Question mark.
Well, he tries to go about it legitimately, and that's one of those scenes that was
that scene I liked.
That was very dialogue driven, very expository, but it was a good scene because you got to see Picard shut down, and you get the first F-bomb of the series. Mm-hmm. Dropped by who is she? A Commodore?
Commodore.
And that's just what we need. We need to see that the Federation has moved on and doesn't respect Picard anymore. They think he's a relic, and he's not even recognized when he comes in for the meeting by the receptionist.
Yeah. So I like that dressing down because you saw the old Jean-Luc Picard's confidence and the Admiral or whoever it was just squash it in the most frank, brutal, harsh way possible. And just dismissed him completely.
Yeah.
And so I would think that's going to be a hit to the level of confidence he has. So I really like that scene because it paints a very different Federation.
Well, and you think, is she in on it? Does she know? Is she a part of the problem? No. You don't after the next scene. Yeah. But in that moment, maybe she's dismissing him because she knows he's onto something. But she doesn't because she FaceTimes the other Commodore Admiral, and clearly she's out of the loop, and the other one is in on it.
Yeah, and so we see the Starfleet CIA, head, the agent, the intelligence head,
who is secretly Romulan.
I don't think. Well, okay. So there's two characters.
Right.
There's Commodore O, who is the intelligence chief.
This is not from memory. I saw you read that.
No, I definitely read that. Right. That's not from memory. Right. And then calls in Lieutenant Rizzo. And Lieutenant Rizzo is Romulan.
Lieutenant Rizzo.
Yeah, okay. It's a little Grease callback, I think.
Right.
It's not the greatest name.
Okay.
Lieutenant Rizzo's Romulan. So it's not clear. I think Commodore
O... But disguised, right? As a human.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think Commodore O probably not in on it. Is doing some sort of conspiracy stuff.
What?
But is still working.
What are you talking about? She's totally in on it.
You think she's part of this Romulan conspiracy?
Are you joking?
No. I think she is understands that she's doing some back shady deals.
Yeah.
But I think she still feels like she's on the side of Starfleet.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I don't think Commodore O thinks she's a traitor to Starfleet.
Oh. I
think Rizzo's a full up Romulan.
Right. No, for
spy.
sure. And there was one point where Rizzo phones her, comrade.
Narek, yeah.
Who, and there was she clearly thinks that she is waiting for a moment where she can take charge, perhaps. But I felt like O was in on it too, but maybe not. So what do you think about what's going on back in the Borg cube?
And not much progressed, I didn't feel like.
Well, the dude who's clearly
Narek.
working with Narek, who's working with O's compadre, he's sleeping with the twin.
Yeah.
But
what's the twin's name?
But he should be what? He should be capturing her. Is he supposed to interrogate her?
He's trying to clearly extract information. I think he knows she's a synthetic.
Yeah.
And he's trying to either...
But she doesn't, if she's anything like her sister.
She doesn't, no.
Yeah.
I think my guess is he's trying to manipulate her to lead him to other synthetics, to eradicate them.
Other synthetics like herself?
Yeah.
Because they did say where the rest when they first got her in the first episode. But her job, it turns out, is to revive or bring back to life some Borg. Is that what you got from that? Like they remove all of the electronics, and that's how they're creating new synthetics?
I don't know. Like we just don't have enough information of what they're doing. Like on the surface, it seems like they're just like extracting Borg technology to rebuild their fleet or whatever.
Oh, really? Because I felt like at one point Narek said to her, however, some of us here believe that you can revive them or something like that. But at one point where
there was some weird Romulan manipulation.
When they did take all the eyepiece off of one of the Borg, she leaned down and whispered, "You are now free, my friend," or something like that. So it almost felt like she knew she was
in the native language of the creature before they were of that humanoid before they had been turned to Borg.
Whoa.
Yeah. So there is a way that like scene indicates that Soji, there we go, that's her name, has some sort of capabilities beyond what a normal human would.
And you know what? Like the thing it's almost like a MacGuffin for me is that you see her sister kick so much ass in the first episode, and she maybe doesn't even know she has those abilities yet.
Well, even the initial sister went through like some sort of like awakening. Yeah.
And so that's what I'm waiting for. Like what is going to trigger that?
I felt like this episode was pretty slow, though, overall. Like, we got a couple snippets, like that opening scene. Right. I do like that Admiral scene dressing down Picard. But overall, it really didn't push much forward.
But without this episode, the next one wouldn't make any sense. Like, he's now got to find his own crew, get off the planet illegally. We got
to build a crew and get out of here. And so probably episodes 1 to 3 are really the opening episode for this show in a way. Like they're the ones that essentially get us into space, get us out there, get Picard going on the storyline overall. One bit of hope for our friends that's not really any kind of future spoiler, but episodes 1 to 3 have the same director, and then episodes 4 we get a new director.
Oh, yeah?
By the name of Jonathan Frakes.
Oh, wow. Right.
So, like, for all of those that have been like, this doesn't feel very Star Trek.
Yeah.
I think
we'll see. A
couple episodes from now, Frakes is back in the directorial chair. Let's see where I think that's going to be callback to old Trek when we get to episode 4.
Well, we'll see if he's directing anyone else from old Star Trek too, because in this past episode, was Data even, or Brent Spiner, was he even in it?
I don't think so.
Yeah, so we'll see. So he directed 2 of the Next Gen movies. Mm-hmm. He directed.
Frakes is a totally competent, well regarded director. He's directed a lot of different sci-fi, including I think he worked on an episode of The Expanse, if I'm not mistaken. So I'm excited for that potential future, but I'm also gearing myself up for next week to again not be like that enthralling. Dude, I think it's going to be Picard like assembling a crew or getting off Earth or something like that.
I didn't have much of a problem. I didn't like those 2 scenes, but I felt like that opening scene was worth the price of admission. I mean, that was amazing. That was so good, and the story is at a point where I'm intrigued and I want to tune in again next week.
Yeah, I'm into it, but it's definitely like I don't feel the same after week 1, like the thrill.
Right.
All right. Well, next week we'll be back to talk about episode 3, which is called "The End Is the Beginning."
I bet Norm didn't have anything to say about this episode anyway.
No, he never has any commentary or thoughts about Jean-Luc Picard in any way, shape, or form.
I always have to explain Star Trek to him. So.
I know. It's like he has no feelings about Romulans and or Section 31.
No.
That's about it for this week. A slightly shorter episode because that's how we roll.
Okay.
Do we have?
Well, We don't have. I don't. We probably do have an outro, but I want to play something a little different. Wohawk emailed an actual song, not an outro, but a song.
A song.
Yeah. And it's he calls it Steve Jobs. And I don't know why. I don't know why he was thinking about Mr. Jobs, but he was, and I just thought it'd be fun to play this. Yes, he made it.
While you're queuing that up, on Tested this week, I think there's a 1-day build of Adam building a fake can of beans up on the site this week. If you haven't listened to the Still Entitled this week, they do a spoiler cast on the movie Parasite, which was my favorite movie of the year. And they talk about what Adam talks about having Spot in. And I thought that was a really enjoyable discussion.
The Boston Dynamics robot.
Yeah, absolutely. We've had some fun.
Yeah, I got to drive him.
Engaging.
He's cool.
Spot. Oh, what did you think of the controls?
Very, I mean, as intuitive as...
It's super intuitive. It has like Xbox buttons on it, and then it's a Android tablet almost.
But then it also has obstacle avoidance, so you can't mess up. It's like you just drive it.
I mean, you can mess up, but it takes work to mess up.
I mean, it'll avoid stuff on its own.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And then you also have a screen. You just tap, go here. It's like a video game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's well done.
It's really well done. Anything you want to plug coming up?
No.
Oh, I won't be here next week.
Not a thing. Oh, really?
Yeah.
Do you want to share your thoughts on episode 3?
I have seen episode 3, but I'm not going to share any thoughts about it.
Okay. Well, we'll miss you. We'll FaceTime you. Where are you going to be?
I'm going to be in Seattle.
Can we FaceTime you?
Yeah, maybe.
Okay.
We'll be at the Gates Foundation.
Oh, good. All right. Well, maybe we can talk to Bill.
I don't think I'll find him.
Melinda.
Whoever. Maybe he has thoughts on Picard episode 3.
Wouldn't be surprised. All right. So this is Wohawk's song, Steve Jobs. Thanks for listening, everybody. We'll see you next week. Uh-oh.
Playing more stuff.
It's really good.
That was awesome.
Really good right out of the box.
That was a fun callback to a different time.
But you can make it even better.
Who, me?
Yeah, even you.
Even me. Send more outros. You can just Google Tested outro music and get all the raw files and do your magic.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks again, Will Hawk, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.